What's going on, these moms? I'm your coach of Kansas City Nidokings, and today we are finally back with the draft league. We did a different style draft, and here I was told it was called the point style draft, and basically it's an entirely free draft where you have a set amount of points, and then you have to budget those points in order to get a certain amount of Pokemon. I think you have to get at least 8 or something like that, but you didn't have to get 11, so you could change, edit the amount of points you wanted to use if you wanted to get 10 Pokemon or 9 Pokemon or something like that. So I only ended up getting 10. I'm going to be going over the team that I drafted, and yeah, new logo for the team. We're now blue, like light blue and white, which is the shiny Nidoking colors. Compared to the logo we had before. I've had a different logo every season. I'm going to go over to the team that we drafted, and let's get going. So, I had the last pick, basically. So, I was 16th, which means I had the swing pick, so I got to pick last pick of one round, and then the first pick of the next round, and then I had to wait a ton of picks, which is like, it's not really that great. It's not fun to do, because in that position you have to wait longer than everyone else to get your Pokemon. But you get to draft 2 at once. You can guarantee 2 that you wanted. So anyways, as things were going down, I really was thinking I wanted to get Mega Lopunny, because I got to use it when we did a little bit of a post game of Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, and I liked how good it was. By the way, that Lopunny actually has pretty damn decent IVs for a wild Pokemon. I really wanted to use Milotic again, because I really loved how how Milotic performed for me. And to start out, I decided to go with Mega Altaria, because that was one of the best Pokemon that was left over. Mega Altaria is a great Pokemon. It was like, I know it was like top tier OU back in Oraz, so it was a really good Pokemon. And Dragon Fairy type, which is really nice. Steel, Ice, Fairy, and Poison. So those are its weaknesses, which aren't insanely common typing. So this thing overall can bulk a lot of hits, and it just hits like a truck, dude. Pixelate boosting the power of normal type moves when they become fairy type moves, and just making this thing absurdly good. It's got really nice bulk and can hit like a truck on either side of the field. So, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun using Mega Altaria this season. So next up, I was really heavily debating picking up Milotic in this spot, because I was feeling like, oh, it's a good enough Pokemon I could go around to. But a couple of people I was talking to convinced me out of it, and I ended up going with a Pokemon that matches up and synchronizes super well with Mega Altaria, and that's Skarmory. Because Skarmory, they counter each other's weaknesses. Synergy, that's what they synergize really well together. And they're both pretty slow, sadly though, but Skarmory gives me an option for Stealth Rocks. It gives me an option for removing hazards and defog. The Pokemon itself is absurdly bulky in physical defense. Not as much special defense, but Steel is a really good typing, because legitimately, it can take every hit that is super effective against Altaria, and Altaria can take every hit against it. So, right off the bat, I have a team that's starting to, like, fit together really nicely. Now, I only had my first 2 picks. So then I had to wait, how many picks was it? I had to wait 31 picks in order to pick again. And a little bit later in that second round, Milotic did go. And the 2 people who convinced me otherwise, that convinced me that I should take something else instead of the Milotic, like, messaged me, and they're like, well, because they didn't expect it to be gone that early, but I'm like, it's good enough, it's definitely a good enough Pokemon to go that early. But in replacement for that, I ended up going with Suicune, because Suicune can do a lot of the same things Milotic can. It doesn't obviously have the Marble scale, but this thing overall, I think base-wise, just has better bulk. It doesn't have as, I mean, they pretty much have the same moveset, what, Scald and Ice Beam, and then Toxic Recover is what you would run on Milotic, and you can run Toxic on Suicune. I don't think it gets Recover, it gets Rest. Crocoon is an often used set. You can have Rest Talk. Restock Coal Mine Scald. Overall, Suicune is just a stupidly irritating wall to get over, and water typing is such a good defensive typing that it really works out nicely in my situation. It does take one of each of the weaknesses of the previous two. It can take fire and ice attacks exceptionally well, because obviously fire being good against Skarmory, and then ice being good against Altaria. So yeah, I love Suicune. And then next up, I was convinced to take Jolteon. Now, Jolteon is a really good Pokemon. As you can see from the 3 previous, I do not have something that's very fast. So Jolteon jumps like 50 points. That's like the difference between Suicune and Jolteon's speed stats, because Suicune is the fastest of the previous 3. But Jolteon is a really good Volt Turner. It's really fast, so a lot of the times I can run Modest. There will be plenty of times when I have to do Max because of its speed ties with Coco, and I believe, and we faced Coco week 1, but Crobat, I think Crobat's 132, base 130, I mean, as well. And in all actuality, just Jolteon's it's a good Volt Turner, it's a good scouting Pokemon that you can, I don't know, it hits really hard too. It's got good special attack, and electric typing is really good. Yeah, Jolteon should be fun to use. It's very different. This entire team, I'm going to be able to just say this. None of the Pokemon I drafted are ones that I've used before in a league. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Jolteon really fast, good typing, and is a pivoter. So pretty cool stuff. Next up, again, I have to wait a ton of time until I can pick again. And my next pick, I think I got the number wrong just looking at it, because that's 33. I counted between, it doesn't, the number literally does not matter in the slightest, but I think I got the number wrong for my next pick. The first time I've actually ever been able to select this Pokemon, which is Nidoking. And I actually did select it before. I believe it was, well, I don't remember what season it was. Was it season 3 of the DBL, where I had to cut it after preseason because I couldn't keep the 12 Pokemon I had dropped? I think that was season 1. My first season of the DBL was just season 2. Anyway, I finally got to draft Nidoking, and it was available, and I believe Nidoqueen had gone, no, Nidoqueen went super late. Like, it went a lot later than Nidoking did. And Nidoking itself is just a really good wall breaker. It's got such a good learn set. It's sadly kind of slow with only base 85 speed, but Poison Ground is a very good typing. It's kind of hard to get around because it's like, what, weak to Psychic, Ground, and Water. It can take a lot of hits. Other than that, I could run Assault Vest on the thing, make it take special hits better, and then hit super hard with the rest of them. Because this thing gets Ice Beam, it gets Thunderbolt, Sludge Bomb. Nidoking overall is just an amazing Pokemon. It has a way better special moveset, but it's got a better physical attack stat, so it's kind of like give and take there. It gets a few decent physical moves to use, so I could run a physical if I end up wanting to one week just to throw someone off. But it was so nice to get. I'm so sorry I keep hitting the mic. It was so nice to finally get my mascot, my team mascot. My next pick, I was talking to people and looking at my team. I really needed a fighting type. Now, I was told that I should get Conkeldurr, and I was looking at it, and while Conkeldurr is an amazing Pokemon, I did not have the budget for it if I still wanted to get as many Pokemon as I wanted. At this point, I still didn't know that I could have less than 11, so I was trying to budget my points specifically so I could get all 11. But Sock was a lot cheaper than Conkeldurr. I think it was actually, it's like a 40 points difference because I think it was a tier 3. And maybe only 20, I don't know. Anyway, Sock is a really good Pokemon because it's got Sturdy, so it can live 1 hit guaranteed. Natural Focus Sash. It can get Poison Jab, so it can hit the Fairy super hard. Overall, Sock and Throw, just together, they're both really bulky Pokemon. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It gets Earthquake, I believe. I could be wrong about that. It gets something like that. But Sock is a really good Pokemon. I'm excited to use it. There's a lot of these Pokemon that I can't explain too much of why I chose it. I just went, like, team synergy-wise. And then it came down to speed tiers. But as you can see, I already have 3 base 85 Pokemon. Suicune may be 80, actually, but both Sock and Nidoking are base 85 Pokemon. Anyway, and fighting is just a really good type in general. It resists a lot of things that it's not as defensive as not a good a defensive typing as I thought it was. It only resists rock and bug, but you know, and those aren't too big of threats on my team because I have plenty of stuff to counter them. But next up, we have a Pokemon that I fell in love with when I got to use it in Pokemon Insurgents, and it was sitting there, and speed-wise, I really needed a Pokemon that was like, I don't know, like in that upper 100, like early 100s level of speed. So I ended up picking Dodrio, Hewlett. I'm really excited to use this guy. It's got base 110 speed, it's got really good attack. I can Scarf this thing, I can band it because it's already good speed. It can hit really, really hard. It gets Brave Bird. I don't know, it doesn't get Defog. Which is funny because so many Pokemon got Defog this generation. Altaria, I believe, now gets Defog, which is kind of funny because I remember I drafted it in the DBL specifically because I wanted a Defog Pokemon and didn't have Defog, so I dropped it straight after. So, I don't know, that's just kind of funny. Anyway, Dodrio should be a really fun Pokemon to use, and it's kind of hard to counter, sort of, not really, I don't know. It's really nice. It's gonna hit hard. That's about all I can say, because that's really all I know about it. Next up, at the same point with that, I ended up going Cofagrigus. Now, Cofagrigus was a Pokemon I was sitting on back when I picked up Nidoking and Sock. I was thinking of getting Nidoking and then Cofagrigus, so I could have Cofagrigus, but I was thinking about it, I'm like, no, the original plan was Sock Cofagrigus. That was the original plan. And then I decided, you know what? I can deal with if Cofagrigus gets taken because I really wanted Nidoking. And wouldn't you know it, Cofagrigus was around when I had my next pick. So I ended up picking him up, and this thing is just stupidly bulky. It's a good typing and Ghost. It can take a lot of hits. Mummy's a really nice ability when it comes to Pokemon that get those abilities that boost their specific stats. So like specifically like Moxie, if you hit my Cofagrigus, you'll get Mummy and you won't get your Moxie boost or something like that. So things like that are really cool. The thing is a it can go Will-O-Wisp, it gets knockoff. Overall, Cofagrigus is just a really cool Pokemon. I'm excited to use it because it's just a really, there's so many Unova Pokemon that I just love, dude. So anyway, yeah, and I have 2 of them on this team. That's about it for Cofagrigus. I'm excited to use it. It should be pretty cool. Next up, we have a Pokemon. I needed a Rapid Spinner, and I really wanted a Grass type, so I was doing all this thinking about what I should do, and I was inquiring if I could, like, drop Cofagrigus and pick up whatever Pokemon was a tier lower than Cofagrigus or something like that, so I'd have that extra 20 points so I could pick up Dhelmise. Because I really wanted Dhelmise, which would replace my Ghost typing and Cofagrigus, give me a Rapid Spinner and a Grass type, which also gave me Steel Stab. But thinking about it, with the budgeting of points and realizing that I would not be able to get a Z Pokemon if I did such thing, thinking about it, I'm like, I really wanted a Z Pokemon, because Z Pokemon were an extra 20 points on top of what was spent. So I took Serena. Now, Serena is a Pokemon I'm not super fond of. It's just kind of a, I don't know, a boring Pokemon. It's a good Grass type. It can get Fairy moves, it can get Grass moves. It gets High Jump Kick too, I believe. Queenly Majesty prevents priority moves, which is really, really nice. And it gets Rapid Spin, so that's pretty helpful when it comes to Serena. It's very bulky. You can give this thing make it an Assault Vest set, and it can live some hits and hit back really hard. Drop Kick is really nice because it lowers the attack stat of the opponent, even though it's got a couple Grass type moves that are better than it. Drop Kick is a really good move, and it's should be something that'd be really fun to use, in all honesty. And yeah, I think that's about it for Serena. It should be a pretty cool Pokemon to use. And then finally, doing a little bit of looking around, I needed some more hazard control. I wanted to have one more Pokemon that could deal with the hazards. I believe Altaria gets Defog. I could be wrong. It could have been one of the Pokemon that didn't get it, like Dodrio. But I had Skarmory. I did have one Defogger at least, and a Rapid Spinner. But I decided I needed something a little bit better. I needed a Dark type, really, because I mean, I have a Poison type and a Fighting type, So I did have at this point, I only actually had one psychic resistance, being Skarmory, so I needed something to help counter psychic types, and I ended up going with a poison dark type in Skuntank. The Skuntank's got a really good move pool. It gets defog, it gets toxic spikes, and it's immune to psychic typing. That gives me another ground weakness, but I do have a counter and Altaria before it Mega Evolves Skarmory and Dodrio, so ground typing is pretty much countered by my team. Overall, Skuntank is just a Pokemon I really like. It's I don't know, it's one of those Pokemon that doesn't get used too often, and is really good because its typing makes it super nice, super bulky. So that is my draft, my overall draft class. Now, you know Jose, I battled him a couple times last season in the IBL. I haven't beat him yet, but he's not in this season. He messaged me out sometime after the draft, and he's like, that I had a really good draft, and in all honesty, it's all Pokemon I have never used before, and it has a lot of really good synergy, which is my first ever draft, which was the IBL Season 2 drafts. I just picked some Pokemon that I liked, and they ended up having really good synergy, and they really worked nicely together, and I almost made playoffs my first ever season, so, and then after that, I didn't really have a good enough squad, but this might be the squad that gets me really far when it comes to postseason. This is just, it's such a complete squad, and I really like how it turned out. Going in, I had no plans. I was thinking at the start of the draft that I really wanted Mega Lopunny, and who knows how the team would be if I had Mega Lopunny. My Z Pokemon that I chose was my captain, Nidoking. Now, it wasn't specifically just because it was my captain. I only had 20 points left over, and I was debating on a couple Pokemon. It was like Dodrio, Jolteon, and Nidoking were the three Pokemon I was debating on. Just because of coverage, I went with Nidoking, because it can hit many different things, and it'd be really nice to give Dodrio Band, and Jolteon, I don't know, I could do something different, like maybe an Isilvus or something like that. Anyways, I don't know. But I ended up giving, I like Nidoking as my Z Pokemon. It's very unpredictable as a Z Pokemon, because you really don't know what to bring against it, or what I'm gonna bring on it if I bring a Z move on it. So it's just like, you kind of have to prepare for everything. So yeah, that's about it. Here is our schedule for the season. Week 1 we play Garchomp the God and his Lawrence Talonflames, which is kind of funny. It's sort of like an in-state rivalry thing, because I actually live in Lawrence, but my team is Kansas City, because those are the teams I support. So it's just gonna be kind of funny going up against him. My team is already built for that, and I'm excited for that. Next up, right after that, I have just a bunch of really good teams to play against, and I just realized that there's a mistake there. I don't have versus before Memphis Bewares, but you get the gist. Yeah, so that's our schedule here. I'm really excited for week 11, because I finally get to play Brendan. I have not played him in the entire time I've been in the IBL, which is the last season I was in the IBLAL, and then I helped out season 2 before actually participating. So I'm excited. It should be really fun to finally play him. And then the Montreal Milotics should also be a really cool team. I believe he has like a pseudo sand team with Excadrill and T-Tar, so that'll be kind of fun to mess with. It may I may end up going with a rain sort of team. I was thinking about that, because my team works really nicely in the rain, because I don't have much hindered by it, and then I can run Thunder on Jolteon. So Jolteon. So that's about it. So really hope you all enjoyed. If you did, appreciated. The season will be starting soon. The draft went live. The draft was today as of recording this, which will be yesterday for you guys. And I'll leave the link to the VOD if you want to go check that out and whatnot. In the description below, you'll find the link to the IBL Twitter. And I'm super excited for this season. It should be a really, really fun season. And I'm really psyched to use this team. As long as I can beat 6-6 or 6-7, really. I'll have my best season ever. because I went 6-7 in the DBL Season 2, and then I went 6-6 regular season last season in IBL, and then 6-7 because I lost my playoff match. But I have never had a winning record so far, so hopefully this can be the season to change that. So yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed. If you did, looks appreciated, and yeah, thanks so much for watching, and let's go Nidokings.